Welcome everybody to the afternoon coverage here from the beautiful Anglesey Trac Môn coastal circuit configuration. My name is Andy Webster, here to take you through the next race, which is the Msvt Trackday Championship. 25 drivers scheduled to appear today across the balanced Trackday Championship. Three classes of racing, Class B, C and D, and heading the field from qualifying is the bright blue Lotus Elise, driven by Steve Summers, and alongside him the dark grey Lotus Elise, car number 13, driven by Jonathan Mee. It was a ding-dong battle in qualifying between the two of them. They're also looking across at each other. They know what it's about today, and they're ready to go and get underway. We've just had the 1 minute marker board. Looks like we're missing P3 from the grid. That is Alan Bull, sadly, who has not managed to make the start. So hopefully we will see him in the coverage tomorrow. But away from the grid they go on their warm-up lap now. Big mix of cars and performance here, but they are all balanced by groupings of horsepower to weight ratio. So we look forward to seeing how all the different makes and manufacturers and bright colour schemes all work their way out through this one. And I will go through the grid for you very shortly. But looking to get underway, it will be Steve Summers on pole, and next to him Jonathan Mee in car number 13. The two Elises are right at the lead. No Alan Bull, sadly, on the grid, but Adrian Pottinger will start in P4 on his own in the Renault. Then comes Mick Presland, McHugh in P6 in car 39, and then Stuart Donovan and Ben Grucock on row 4. On row 5, we've got Kelsey and Jack Kemp, followed by on row 6, Dave Connell and John Line. John Line in the BMW there. Then we've got 666 entry on row 7 in 13th of Baxter or Howells, depending on who's starting, and then Wayne Cockrell in 14th position in car number 21 in the Toyota Celica. Then we've got Wright in P3 and Chris Reed in P15. Chris Reed in P16 in the car number 114 in the Mini. Then we've got on row 9 John Dundee in car 68 in 17th place with one of the Burnhams, either J or R, in car 25 in the Ford. Then we've got Dean Hyde, Hornigold entry, Colin Wells, Hart or Evans, McGeechan, Lower or Long, and Gibson Rigg, who will finish out our grid, but we're almost under starters orders. Getting ready now as the tail of the grid formulate and get themselves into position. A 45-minute race here, and I think we have a pit stop for driver change with a minimum stop time to accommodate driver changes or lack thereof, but just to equalise everything, and the pit window will be open at roughly half distance, of course. Waiting for the green flag at the tail. The green flag has been waved, and we're under starters orders. Remember, this is Steve Summers on the inside on the bright blue Lotus Elise, from Jonathan Mee on the outside in the dark grey Elise, and the Renault Clio away front, but Steve Summers with a very, very quick starting car. Mick Presland managing to get straight up into P2, and a little bit of a touch there, I think, potentially for Jonathan Mee, who is trying to move himself around and find some position on the track. So we go Lotus Elise to Presland in 7th, and then it's the Caterham actually of Ben Grucock, who's currently in 3rd position, but like a scolded cat goes Steve Summers away from the rest of the grid right now, and trailed by Mick Presland with a dramatic and fantastic start as the two hot hatches fight hard going through the school corner, and the Caterham looking pretty slow as he gets absolutely mullered into Rocket Inn. The door is open. A big stop there from Jonathan Mee, trying to find some room on the racetrack, and he's struggling for grip. He's struggling for brake temperature, and he's caused a massive hold-up behind him, but thankfully everybody managing to avoid significant or race-ending contact as they head through, and then down we go towards the Corkscrew after Peel, as the cars are currently heading through Peel right now. But down into the Corkscrew and out again is already Steve Summers, who will lead them away at the start of lap 2 from Mick Presland as they cross the line. Mick Presland gaining 3 positions, but already Jonathan Mee hot on the heels of McHugh Heslop as they head through the target corner for the first time at racing speed, full racing speed at least. And it is Summers and Presland. Still Jonathan Mee trying to get past that McHugh Heslop Honda Civic Type R and not quite able to make the move just yet, but looking very, very racy. He's desperate to get it back on terms here and not let Steve Summers get away too far and too fast. The top speed of the Lotus looking really good as they go side by side towards School Corner. He might have caught him too early before the Rocket Inn corner. Kicks a little wheel up on the dirt. A lock up from the Honda as well. So both cars pushing incredibly hard. But McHugh Heslop are currently staying ahead of the Jonathan Mee Lotus Elise, but it looks like it's only a matter of time. And down into Peel Corner goes Jonathan Mee to secure 3rd place for now, at very least, as we see the other cars filing through this tricky corner that leads into an incredibly difficult complex of the Corkscrew and the final turn. But like I say, Summers in the lead of the race from Presland, and then McHugh Heslop lost the place there to Jonathan Mee on that run. And as we go through the rest of the order, Grucock, Pottinger, Line, Kelsey, Donovan, Kemp, Connell, Cockrell, Wright, Glover, Baxter, Howells, Hyde, Reed and the Burnhams in the 17. Burnham just getting a position through and past as the MX-5 tries to have a look underneath the BMW into the banking. That's not an easy place to make the move, but it's looking pretty good for Connell versus the BMW of Line. I think no, it's Kelsey versus Line here. Kelsey trying to get away, but the top speed of the BMW just too strong for the MX-5 at this point. And the MX-5 is also caught offline, and the Celica trying to sneak a move into Rocket Inn, and someone's getting it very wrong. That is car number 12, just outbraking himself, taking a shortcut around the circuit, have to find his way back in. That's the Kemp Harvey Renault Clio entry, and he manages to keep the car moving and running, but he'll find himself a good position to feed back in the middle of the Peel Corner as the MX-5 of Kelsey Sycamore tries to make the move on the BMW of Line Sycamore as they get into the corners where the BMW is going to be significantly slower through those corners. As towards the front, we can also see we've got Jonathan Mee catching that 2nd place Lotus Elise entry of Mick Presland. He's in the S2 versus the S1 of Jonathan Mee, who was obviously quicker through qualifying, but having to break into Church Corner, which clearly Jonathan Mee wasn't prepared to break into either. So kind of caught off guard a little bit there, and he'll be wise to that next time round. He'll plot a line through Church that allows him to keep the foot down, or at least not press the brake at all. A little battle going on into School Corner. The BMW has been passed by the MX-5. The MX-5 of Kelsey Sycamore has made the move, and now Donovan in the Celica is also trying to make a move past that BMW as well, but still in the lead of the race as we go side by side once again for this 2nd position. This is looking good for the number 13, who's finally managed to get himself back where he started, but he's going to find himself a very long way back from the lead of the race, Steve Summers. That gap now is 6.8 seconds with 40 minutes to go. So after 5 minutes, he's lost out 6.8 seconds thanks to a poor start and a poor getaway. But making ground, and we'll keep an eye on those times. Fastest lap currently is with your leader, Steve Summers, on the 1:17.908. A good second faster than Jonathan Mee has managed to go so far as he works his way through slower qualifying cars currently. Very busy down into the banking as we go through into this lap 4. Little kick of that dust from an earlier race that was laid down. as some drivers attack the apex as much as possible. So the hot hatches all together, but here's the MX-5 that managed to conquer that BMW, losing that top speed once again as they head up towards Rocket Inn. And then we've got side by side. Is that Donovan in car 11? Sorry, it's not Donovan. In car 21, it's Corkscrew, who is trying to defend a move going on into Rocket Inn. That continues through into Rocket Out, and again another one of the Lotus Elise is trying to move forward as well. This circuit obviously really suiting the Lotus Elise entries no end. But that lap from Jonathan Mee was a personal best 1:18.1, and it was 0.4 of a second faster than Steve Summers. There's plenty of time to make up for a bad start in this longer race. So fighting hard into and out of the final corner in the midfield right now. I can tell you that in the B class are the top 6 positions. Then we've got the MX-5 leading the D class of Kelsey Sycamore. Donovan leading the C class with himself and Cockrell nose to tail currently. But the race lead overall stays with Steve Summers, and he's still circulating very quickly indeed. There's the Caterham at the front of the field as well, looking pretty on the defensive here. It's not suiting this circuit at all well for the Caterham. Bit of a moving roadblock occasionally. And the BMW having a look down from the Kelsey Sycamore MX-5. They're underlapping one another. The MX-5 now put out of position and losing out, and then potentially going to lose another place to the Toyota Celica. This is a different Celica though, second in class, car 21, the Cockerell entry, leading 10th position backwards. But this is the very, very busy section of the race order, where this Class D Celica qualifying better than the cars behind it, but frankly looks like it's only a matter of time before somebody gets past. Donovan still leading that Class C position, and Kelsey just confirming that line got past Kelsey Sycamore. Timeout. You can see all that dust laid down from an incident earlier on in the day. One of the first races that we actually had left a huge amount of fluid, and slowly but surely the cars are clearing off that dust. We're having a look then at the Clios and the Fiestas fighting here. I see car 334, who wasn't able to take part in practice, has managed to fulfill the criteria today and get himself on track, but currently at the tail of the field with just Gibson Rig behind. That's lower long, and Gibson Rig just behind them in the Ginetta G40. So, lap 6 for the majority of the field. Steve Summers has actually crossed the line into lap 7 already, and Connell in the MX-5 looking for a way past the Toyota Celica. A bit of a JDM battle going on here for best of the Japanese manufacturer honours. Currently, though, that is led by the Kelsey Sycamore 195. This is the Scuderia Dave entry, the second MX-5 in the order on the screen right now, as there goes line, followed by Donovan, followed by Kelsey Sycamore, who's falling backwards at the moment a little bit. Just to keep you updated on the front of the field, that last lap, Jonathan Mee pipped Steve Summers by 0.2 of a second. It's probably not sufficient to really make Steve Summers start doubting himself. So a lap going on the Ginetta at the moment, who's obviously still learning the circuit and still learning their craft a little bit here. But that's what Trackday Championship is all about: is arrive and drive and have a good time doing it for a very affordable amount of investment. So, continuing then with the battle with the Celica. Now we've got the Caterham versus the Honda Civic Type R. The Caterham looking really good through Peel, and the Civic trying to hold on as they approach the Corkscrew. Looking really good there. Well handled the Team Ribera car as the Caterham then goes for a move down the inside. We'll be hoping he's found some grip through the final corner, and he did. But that just brings the Celica, brings the Clio, the number 89 of Pottinger Polk, right into the mix. So Pottinger Polk following behind the Grucock Caterham 7, and now Grucock turning attack, unfortunately into defence, as Podginger Polk is hot on his heels, but a kick up of dust, and that's going to hurt the Caterham driver more than anybody else, because that's going straight in the visor rather than the windscreen of the rest of the field. So as they run through the run out of the banking, through Church, through School, and up towards Rocket Inn. Looks like the Caterham getting a little bit of breathing room now and braking heavily into Rocket Inn, and there's a black and orange flag out there. I'm not sure which car that is for. I haven't seen a car with bits hanging off it on my view, but I don't actually have that indication. I can see that cars 30 and 32 have no working transponders, and I wonder if that is what it's for. But we shall see. I can't, as I say, I can't see the race number from my commentary position right now. Here comes the Caterham going for another move if possible. He really likes that inside line into the final corner, but I think that's losing him an awful lot of traction coming out of that final corner. He's moving around in the mirrors on the approach to target, but no way through just yet, as the Team Ribera Honda Civic Type R looking very well poised on the track at the moment, managing to now going for a long high lane around the banking and making it work for him. He's just about holding on to the racetrack and the steering as he goes across that exit curve. There's a move from the BMW E30 on the Ginetta G40. That's a lap being put on. Car 666 I can see in the pits at the moment, unfortunately. There you can see. So falling back down the order, that's the Baxter Howells Renault Clio 200. There's a jack going up underneath the car as well, so they're clearly having to pay some attention to the front axle on the left side. This is Donovan leading the Class C field at the moment. He's got a car between himself and the next Class C second place Kemp Harvey Clio. That is the Colsey Sycamore Mazda MX-5 in between himself and his nearest rival in class. But showing very well for Class C is Donovan in the Celica. That ran very nicely in qualifying, and it looks like it wasn't a flash in the pan. They've actually managed to keep a fair amount of momentum going there very nicely indeed. So just to update you, you can see some adjustments, maybe a track rod or something being inspected, certainly underneath the wheel, and they've got several people lying underneath the car, under the jack, so putting a lot of faith in the jack raise that was performed there, and let's hope everything is okay and they can get back out on track and get out there and enjoy this Track Day Championship. But at the moment it's car 21, which is Cockerell in the third in class in Class C. Just holding off here for now the Wright Glover Ford Fiesta and the Connell Mazda MX-5, who through the corners, the MX-5 just absolutely beautifully balanced, but unfortunately losing out as we get to the top end of the top speed, heading through the School corner that they're heading through right now. And that, of course, means that there's a larger distance to the braking zone for Rocket Inn as they brake heavily now. In fact, the Mazda looking for a little bit of room on the outside of the corner. He kind of ran out of room there slightly, and big defence going on. The 38 Wright Glover Ford Fiesta. I'm not sure where else you would see an MX-5 fighting a Ford Fiesta quite so hard, except perhaps on the public roads around the Evo Triangle, as I was enjoying earlier on in the week. But heading now down towards the Corkscrew we go. Looking great on track. There's a few dinks and dents in the Fiesta. It's obviously I don't think that's happened this race. I think that's just battle wounds. And actually the Fiesta on the impetus here and looking for a way past the Celica as they go down the start-finish straight and through turn 1 target corner for the 11th time of asking. Heavy braking into the banking corner. Celica very slow coming out though, possibly even missed a gear, and that means 2 places down, unfortunately for Cockerell, losing out to Wright Glover and to Connell, and down the order they go. At the head of the field, Steve Summers still in the lead of this race by 3.8 seconds to Jonathan Mee. Behind them, Presland and McHugh Heslop and then Grucock, Pottinger-Polk, Line, Donovan, Colsey Sycamore, Kemp Harvey, Cockerell, and Wright Glover. Or is it actually going to be Connell as he gets the MX-5 around the Celica, around the long way round Rocket out. The Celica holding on to that racing line, come to towards Peel corner now, the right-hander, which increases in radius, so it's tighter on the entry and wider on the exit. Not physically, of course. This circuit is a consistent 12 meters wide, but I think you know what I mean in terms of the racing line and how they work out. Here is the Caterham, who's just managed to put an overtake finally on the Pottinger-Polk Renault Clio. So found a way through, and it took several laps there. But Pottinger-Polk not content to let this one go, and going for a move down the outside here of Rocket in. It's very difficult to make the move stick through there, but keeping it clean and tidy nonetheless. We're under half an hour to go. Connell is in the pits. I don't know if this is a scheduled driver change or a scheduled stop at least. I think only the two surname entries will actually driver change. This does look scheduled. There's opening the driver door there just to keep himself a little bit cooler. There is one of the only Mark IV MX-5 in the paddock this weekend, and he's getting plenty of running and practice around this Anglesey coastal circuit. But currently circulating a little bit down the order at the moment. That's the Wells MX-5, if I'm not mistaken. This is Jonathan Mee then, still trying to catch the leader. He did put in a good lap, last lap of 1:19.460, and that was a good half a second faster than our leader Steve Summers. So the gap has dropped to 3.3 seconds at the lead of the race. This is Line defending in the BMW from car number 12. The Kemp Harvey, no, just bear with me. The BMW E30 of David Hyde, gorgeous looking machine, just having its pressures checked and getting ready to get going. And the 97 MX-5 is being pushed out. Not 1997, but that's the 112 of Donovan, class leader of Class C, behind Line, who is currently 7th in Class B. So locking up the rear axle, they're heading through Peel. So we have a short little straight before we enter the Corkscrew, and I think the Celica is trying to find a way through. Tail getting a little bit happy on the BMW for now. And again, I think the rears have really gone off, and the MX-5 is going for a late lunge into the final corner. Doesn't quite make it, but the Celica staying ahead, and obviously both getting ahead of John Line, who pits for his scheduled stop now. 25 minutes to go out of the 45 minutes race duration. So here comes the BMW into the pits, the Tyler Motorsport dark blue entry. And he's just having those pressures checked once again, and just cool down. Say minimum pit stop time for our drivers who are not changing driver pairings, but just that driver swap, enabling the motorsports to be all that more affordable if you can find a friend to co-fund your racing activity. Once again, then the Team Ribera still holding off the Grucock Caterham. For now, as 124 pits, 124 is Hornigold in the MGZR. Don't see a lot of MGs racing reliably for a long period, but this one is certainly doing very well. I think the Caterham has just pitted as well, just easing the pressure on the back of the Team Ribera Honda Civic Type R of McHugh and Heslop. So going through the banking now, the Civic holding off Pottinger-Polk's Clio, and you can see actually a drink going on for the Caterham, who should be cool enough with the wind chill thanks to a lack of windscreen. Oh, he's got a tiny little mini windscreen, hasn't he? A little wind deflector. Yeah, just keeping himself hydrated. It is a bright, sunny day. It's not bakingly hot, but I'm sure it's hot when you're working the wheel under full Nomex gear, of course. And the 666 back in the pits again for the scheduled stop this time and a driver change. 666 entry, that's Baxter Howells. So either Baxter or Howells going in or going out, depending on what. But their overalls very similar and helmet combinations, so very difficult for us to judge which one is which. See, they've got a wing mirror adjustment there, 666. The left-hand mirror was folded flat, so I wonder if that's been actioned by contact earlier on in the race. There's a little bit of communication between drivers, as you would fully expect. And car 23, the E. Oh, nice work from our E30 there, just getting the tail out after the pit stop with colder tyres. Just leaning on the rear axle and getting style points from this commentator at very least. But we continue into the banking once again. This is Pottinger Polk still chasing down our McHugh Heslop Honda Civic Type R, and these two have been locked in battle for a significant number of laps. Summers, though, still leads the race, and he's got the fastest lap at the moment, but the gap has dropped slightly to 3.4 seconds, and let's see what happens after the pit stop, whether that changes the handling and the balance of the car as the Ginetta does a driver change. That's the Gibson Rig entry. The pit window is obviously confirmed to be open, and I'll let you know when the pit window has officially closed. But so far, all the pit stops happening as scheduled and without too much drama. We've still got a couple of cars receiving some attention in the pits, but nothing too dramatic. The 334 might be having the rears changed. Might have a slow puncture, in fact. There's the 33 Ginetta. It's been at the tail of the field, but it does look quick, doesn't it, even sitting still. And then you see a wheel change happening on the car in front of it in the pits. There is the 334 BMW. But into the pits then comes that Honda Civic Type R. So finally, Pottinger Polk can have a little bit of breathing room, get a lap or two at racing speed and try and do an overcut here because I think they felt perhaps a little bit held up at that point. But Steve Summers still leading this race, hasn't pitted yet, and neither has Jonathan Mee at the front of the field. But Steve Summers having a really nice run here. He's going down the corkscrew as we speak, and issues the pit lane once again, stays wide. So does Jonathan Mee, but actually that gap has closed significantly as they go through the start-finish line this time. The gap down to 2.4 seconds. Steve Summers having a dickens of a time passing that Toyota Celica, and I wonder if Jonathan Mee will have any easier of time of it at all as they approach the banking this time. There is the 39 entry solo Honda Civic Type R of McHugh Heslop. Entry just in the pits, enjoying their breather. Jonathan Mee has passed the Celica coming out of Church Corner, and again the E30 of Hyde is still really lighting up those rears, obviously having a lot of fun out there. He is currently down in 23rd position overall, but still having a great day's track action and racing, just battling his own rear grip limitations as they go through the corners. Car 25, the Burnhams have pitted as well, and McHugh Heslop has been released to get going shortly. That was a nice little interchange there. The Elise versus the MX-5 of car 97. That was Connell being passed by a faster moving car further up the order. Still, no pit stop from the lead by Steve Summers, and there's no reason to pit either because they don't have a driver change to split the race in half, but it's 19 minutes 45 to go. We're past halfway distance. A little tap on the shoulder to the mechanic who's working hard to change the tyre there on the 334 BMW. That has had a very limited track running this weekend so far, and currently riding in 21st position, 9th in Class D as well. And we return to Celica versus Honda here, as the Honda managing to get a really good run through School and up into Rocket Inn. That's a blind entry big stop. Possibly, I think the biggest lean on the brakes, certainly in across this Anglesey coastal circuit configuration. And again, out of position. Now the Caterham getting past the Fiesta. That gap at the lead then, Summers still leads, but by 2.8 seconds, and he managed to get a much more representative lap in that time out, so it looked to just have been passing the traffic that caused the problem. Jonathan Mee, I see, is in the pits, as is Steve Summers on the same lap, so they'll be monitoring each other, and with that minimum pit stop time, Jonathan Mee will feel like the longest 2.8 seconds possible when Steve Summers gets away from the pit position. So they are in. And those are your two leaders then. So we may well see the Lotus Elise S2 of Presland take the lead, unless he manages to pit this time round. He was a fair distance down, but I don't think he was a full pit stop distance down from the head two of the field. So there we have Cockerell's Salika, second in Class C currently. Just a word to the wise with his teammates, his engineers, and there are the two leaders in reverse order visually, waiting in the pit stops for their release time, waiting to get underway. So we're waiting to see whether Presland decides to pit in the Elise S2 with the smaller spoiler, that is, or whether he will take the lead temporarily. That's Mick Presland, who had an absolutely brilliant start, got himself up to second position, but slowly but surely has been overtaken by the faster Jonathan Mee. Today, at least, we shall see how that runs later on in the weekend. So the 334, after a rear tyre change, back on track and back circulating, is now having to try and hunt down the car in front, and the leader has been released from its minimum pit stop time. These are all closely monitored by race control, of course, so any infractions will be dished out. It is a fully sunny and dry day here at the beautiful Anglesey circuit. It is very still in the air, and couldn't ask for better conditions to really enjoy this Track Day Championship, as Presland did take the lead temporarily until he pits. He's managed to clear that one, but I'm sure we'll be heading on into the pits very shortly. There is the MX-5 Mark IV getting in, and that's very close between the Caterham and the Honda Civic Type R. The Caterham, after that little pause and stationary time in the pits, making much lighter work this time of the entry there, the Honda Civic Type R. So Grucock getting past McHugh Heslop entry very, very nicely, and maybe a small adjustment at the pit stops, but has allowed him to move forward. And that is the beautiful Mark IV MX-5, the only one in the paddock who also has been guesting in the Miata Trophy this weekend. 334 BMW going down the inside, exploring the grip on the inside line through the banking. It doesn't look like the quickest way through because the Pottinger Polk entry unique racing team car has managed to get the undercut, and there we are, flapping the doors for some ventilation. It must be very, very warm in the seat of that car today, and yeah, very normal sight in the pit lane here. Pottinger Polk then, car number 89, currently in fourth place in overall and in its class, and the pit window has officially closed. So the pit stop must have been served or being served right now, and Presland, I must imagine, has to be coming in because he has yet to pit. Mick Presland, he is still in the lead of this race temporarily, I imagine, but he may have left it too late. The pit window has been closed. Oh, there he is in the pits. So we're just waiting now for the runner, the front two to pit, and he may have left it right to the very wire, if not over the line here, Mick Presland. But that means that Summers and Mee will obviously overtake him as the Mark IV MX-5 comes out of the pits, and car number 29 says, don't have any thoughts about staying in front of me for a fair while you warm up your tyres. Pottinger Polk also clearing the MX5 Mark IV ND as well. So obviously struggling to get those tyres up to temperature at the moment, and as they come through to retake or to start, I should say, lap 22. I think that should mean now that at very least Summers and me are back in front of the race as we wait for Breslin to come out and see where he feeds back in relative to Pottinger Polk's Renault Clio 89 car, the white Unique Racing Renault Clio. Again, another car doing double duty this weekend is that MX5. It's clearly running very nicely, not the purple one, but the blue and pink one. That's also featured in our Miata Trophy earlier on, just getting plenty of track time and experience. And now the Caterham of Grewcock is looking for a way to clear the ND Mark IV MX5, and trying and struggling at the moment in terms of cornering. The MX5 will be a near match, but by then he manages to get through target and continue his hunt down of Pottinger Polk. The gap between those two just down to 2 seconds now. Pottinger Polk is some 51.2 seconds away from the Jonathan Mee and Steve Summers battle, which is now out to 9.2 seconds after the pit stop. So again, Steve Summers' start of his stints has been absolutely electric, distancing the identical machine of Jonathan Mee, as identical as it gets, I think, really, in this series. And he's managed to get himself well ahead there, and now you can see Jonathan Mee coming through. I can see at least Jonathan Mee coming through Church Corner and having a hell of a time trying to get past all these back markers who he's rejoined right in the midst of. But continuing the Caterham's somewhat fluctuating pace, shall we say. He's been sometimes on the heels of the Pottinger Polk, and then sometimes struggling. But there is Jonathan Mee, and that was a very, very busy traffic moment for him. And is that front end of the Lotus Elise looking a little bit worse for wear, I wonder? The BMW has come off, and I wasn't sure if it was grass caught in the air intake at the front of the Elise, or whether we actually have a dented car on our hands. Well, both of them are off at the Rocket Inn section. The Tyler entry of David Line, that does look in worse for wear, doesn't it? It looks like we've lost the headlight shroud, and we've chewed up the front right of Jonathan Mee's car. That could be second place, going begging. And Mick Breslin will be promoted, and obviously the rest of the field, with the exception of Steve Summers. So a problem there for Jonathan Mee. Didn't catch exactly what went down with him, but suffice to say, it was bad enough for him to be out of the race for now, and that car looking very, very poor condition on the infield. Hopefully we'll be able to deal with that with yellow flags, but obviously I'll let you know if anything changes. We have 10.5 minutes to go of this relative endurance race compared to what else we've been enjoying so far today. This is Pottinger Polk, who will quickly and shortly pass Jonathan Mee's stricken car and get up onto the provisional podium. But close attention behind once again is the Caterham 7 of Grewcock. And there's Jonathan Mee dropping down the order, and we will go for a safety car to clear Jonathan Mee's Lotus Elise S1, and that will provide a pause in the action. And the most disappointed person among the entire grid is going to be our leader, Steve Summers, who was enjoying a tremendous lead, and that will of course be cut right down. Well, 9 minutes 45 to go, and at the moment not going to be plain sailing towards the end. I do think that Steve Summers has the underlying pace, of course, to hold on to this potential win, but this is going to close our entire field up, and that will mean that we end up with a much closer run to the finish. Just 9.5 minutes to go. Depends how long it takes to rescue Jonathan Mee's car. It is stranded, and it did look a little bit low at the front, as well as as all the bodywork being a little bit worse for wear. So we'll see as soon as we get pictures of Jonathan Mee's car. We'll keep track of progress. And there is our leader, Steve Summers, in the bright blue Lotus Elise, who has led this whole race so far. There you can see Jonathan Mee waiting. He's looking out, whether he's looking at the marshals or a recovery vehicle, or maybe he's looking out for that BMW that he had his accident with. Let's wait and see. Not entirely sure, but there is our mini safety car coming out, and we'll pick up Steve Summers to bring the field together to give the maximum amount of safe clearance zone. Actually, that 71 Tyler entry is also the driver out of the car. He's testing with his foot. He's testing his rear right, so it's clear where the two cars came together. But like I say, I can't make a comment as to any blame or anything. But both drivers, I'm sure, will be incredibly disappointed because they want to have hard and fair and fun racing. Unfortunately, sometimes things go a little bit awry. There seems to be some frantic pointing at the on the pit wall there for our leader. But I think all is well. Obviously, we have full yellows here for the safety car. So in terms of specification and how these classes are made up, the rules are actually pretty relaxed. It's a balance of power versus weight, and that is handled by arranging the cars in class order, and then you've got roughly 25 brake horsepower per ton range within that power to weight ratios within classes, That means that we can achieve this close racing within class that we currently have enjoyed. At the moment, Donovan is leading Class C, and he's in 6th place overall as well. His next nearest rival in class is the Kemp Harvey Renault Clio. So it's clear to me that that the second Celica, who was running second in class for some time, has actually dropped down to 4th in class and 14 overall, the Cockerell Toyota Celica. In Class D, it's the Kelsey Sycamore and Mazda MX-5, the blue with purple ripple effects Mazda MX-5 car 195, who leads Class D. And he's got Wright Glover's Ford Fiesta in the same class as him, right behind him, certainly in the standings and presumably on track, unless there are any lapped runners in between. So the field is tightly compacted now. Hopefully that gives an opportunity for a recovery vehicle to come on. The clock has not stopped. The clock continues to run, and we're down to 6 minutes to go. And actually that David Line car 71, they've got him back running again, and he's limping back to the pits. Actually, that rear left does look a little bit askew. It appears to be towing out at the top of the tyre, and he'll manage to limp this one back to the pits, and hopefully can repair whatever has occurred. And get himself back out for the next race in this championship. So, the safety car. I haven't seen any progress of the recovery of the Jonathan Mee car just yet, unfortunately. But when we get restarted, it will be a real sprint. Just certainly fewer than 5 minutes remaining, and it will be Summers from Presland. Remember, Presland was brilliant away from the start, and I wonder, whether he might be able to action a restart similar. He will have a car in front of it, several cars in between himself and the leader, so it's unlikely that we'll have a battle for the lead. Lots of cars out of position. What we're looking for is car number 7, which is the black Elise with the orange stripes down the centre. That is our actual second place man, and I think there's some 8 or 9 cars in between himself and Steve Summers. So a very good position for Steve, unless they release the lap cars, which I'm not expecting to happen. But there does appear to still be recovery vehicles on the infield around the Rockets. We might get to have a look here as we follow the mini safety car. Well, there is a pickup truck, and we're actually having to do a similar rescue operation to what we saw earlier on, where you see all that fluid down in turn 1 with all the dust covering the fluid, having to do a full 4-wheel pickup of the Lotus Elise, the stricken Lotus Elise of Jonathan Mee. I hope that's repairable. I really do. It'll be a crying shame to come all the way to Anglesey to only be able to perform sort of 2/3 of a race distance, and when you're expecting to do even more. We will expect to see the Trackday Championship again tomorrow, and that will be... No, forgive me. This is the only Trackday Championship race of the weekend, so I suppose all is not entirely lost, but they will be. This is a championship, so they will be fighting for points all the way. You get 30 points to win this race, 27 for second, 24, 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you get, obviously, one point for fastest lap, and then you get 5 points added for cars that you beat in class. So tremendous rewards for leading your class and leading above class, the class above you. So the Mee and Line cars, I don't know if you'll get points for finishing ahead of cars that have retired. Probably not. But currently, the Class Bs are leading the field, the first 5. But then you've got Donovan in the Toyota Celica, who does stand to gain bonus points for beating 2 Class D cars if things all work out. Well, the Jonathan Mee Lotus Elise is back on the trailer. We will have to wait for the trailer to get cleared and then wait for the safety car to come on into the pits. I don't know, as the safety car approaches School Corner and towards the final sector of the lap as they go up the hill towards Rocket. Obviously, he's slowing down to enable us to get going as soon as possible with just 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. It is going to be some achievement for us to get more than 1 racing lap left in this race. As you'll see the recovery vehicle, which will presumably have to wait till the field has passed it in order to drive back to the pits. So we will see if we can achieve a racing lap or 2 at the end of this one. As I mentioned earlier, Steve Summers should have a fairly easy job of it, as there's 8 or 9 lap vehicles between himself and Mick Preslin's other black Lotus Elise down in second place, because all the gaps have been handled. I hope that everybody in and out of position manages to navigate the back markers. We were hearing earlier from Paul, who said in the driver briefing, lapped cars and slower cars were told to stay online and be passed offline. There was a little bit of gesticulation going on there between drivers from the E30, perhaps indicating that he was going to let the runner behind him pass around the right-hand side or something, but it wasn't particularly clear to me what he was gesticulating or trying to communicate to the driver behind him in the chain. Will the safety car be able to slow? I'm not entirely sure. It's trying its very, very best here to go slower than the recovery truck and the pickup behind him. Let's see if the safety car lights have gone off. Safety car will come in and we will go racing once again with just 40 seconds on the clock. So we'll hopefully get green flag to the end, and Steve Summers will take them away from to start what will be the start of the penultimate lap, perhaps. I will keep an eye though down here on the grid as into target the cars compress and challenging one another. The bright green Fiesta certainly on the defensive now. Team Ribera sneaking one up the inside of the orange Fiesta entry, as well as we head through the first corner and then down into the banking. Passing happening because of the lapped runners. No real movement forward, no major movement forward from the second place Lotus Elise, as is now Preslin's entry. So unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have a fairly uncontested run to the flag for Steve Summers. The starter has got his checkered flag ready. I think we're about to finish this race as they head through the Rockets for the majority of the runners. Car 97 trying to go around the outside of Rocket out, Will he be able to go for a move onto the inside as the BMW out of position is moving himself clear through the corkscrew goes Steve Summers to bring the car down. Still, the rear axle of that BMW looking really difficult, but Steve Summers will complete a brilliant win here at the Trackday Championship and take the maximum points available. And we will then see Mick Presland shortly behind a long train of cars to take second place and second, of course, in class. There he goes across the line. Pottinger Polk will take in the Clio, will just pip the Caterham 7 for the final podium position of Grucock, and then McHugh Heslop in the Civic Type R completes Class B. Donovan will win Class C, and he will beat 3 Class D drivers, so that will be nice for him. And Kelsey Sycamore will be ahead of 2 or 3 Class C drivers. Kelsey Sycamore in 7th, Wright Glover in 8th, 2nd in class, and then comes Connell in the Mazda MX-5 in the Class D. He's 3rd in class, and then back to Class C for Kemp Harvey, 10th overall, Reed 11th and 3rd in class, and then Dundee for Class D, 4th in class. Car 68 comes 12th, and we continue down the order. Couple of Class C vehicles that were beaten by Class D. Baxter Howells in the final position, but that spent a lot of time in the pits. And then we've got, so here is your final order. As I was just going through, we've been through the top 10, so the top 11 then: Reed, Dundee, Hyde, Cockerell, Burnhams, Wells, Hart Evans, McGeechan, Hornigold, and Gibson Brigg. Your top 20. The Ginetta getting home 3 laps late, but certainly getting home. And the fastest lap was Steve Summers on a 1 minute 17.908. We also saw cars finish low along in 21st, Baxter Howells in 22nd, and of course we saw what befell me and Line, but we didn't actually get a full explanation or activity from the final, from what actually took place to action all that damage and those 2 retirements. But that was the MSVT Trackday Championship race, and we will be back with further coverage of more racing still to come from the beautiful Anglesey circuit shortly.